right. Coding coming across. Tube looks like it may be tubing. Verifying. Looks like we are live and on the air on YouTube and Twitch. So welcome everyone to the Foolish Tech Show. It is a lovely Tuesday morning, the end of the month almost. And we are here mainly to provide you with support and answer any questions about our products and services. If you have any of those, you can always feel free to jump over to foolishtechshow.com. We have a couple ways you can join our IRC chat from there, and we'll be more than happy to interrupt whatever random shop talk we may be discussing at the time to focus on that instead. Otherwise, we will fill the air with random shop talk about things that are out and about, and just keep in mind that any opinions expressed here of the individual that expressed them and not the company itself. So, how is everyone doing this Tuesday morning?
Pretty good.
Fairly well. Um,
Good, good. Well, speaking of end of the month, it looks like Lifehacker has an article that is goes to prove why New Year's resolutions might not be the best idea.
come on, ruin it for us. It isn't even the end of
I know, not
January.
even the end of January, and people are already looking for ways to get out of their gym membership.
Hmm.
Oh, the gym was jam packed on January the 2nd, but it started to thin out already.
Yeah, yeah. So now that that free month of the gym is already up, it looks like people are trying to figure out how not to pay and get out of there. So, um,
Okay, this happens with such cyclical regularity every single year. It amazes me, that this is that people still just follow this sort of, I mean, behavior. It's almost
yeah,
it's
I
almost like
feel
a
like
mental illness. I would say,
I feel like if you want to change, you should probably not do it. Wait until the beginning of a year to do it. Like you should just go
Yeah.
ahead and make the change.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just go ahead and
if
do it
you
right
have to
then.
wait for the stars and the moons to align, you're never going to do it to begin with. So that's how I feel, at least.
I'm
Not
looking.
like the present. Sorry.
I'm seeing if JP has a. Yeah, he has a good ultra spiritual life video on New Year's resolution. So here's JP's outlook on that.
Who's JP?
Uh,
JP Sears, fool.
yeah, he's got a book coming out even. Um, so yeah, check him out. It's pretty funny stuff. I really enjoy him. And Futures Tech Crew isn't in here yet, but I did check out that internet comment etiquette guy, and it's all right. Um, I think maybe the subjects he focuses on, I'm not as particularly interested in.
I only saw that one that you shared a while back with him, and uh, yeah, it's entertainment, I guess. It's like watching a certain type of stand-up comedy show,
Like, it kind
I
of
didn't
makes me
watch
feel
it.
more depressed about the world and the internet when he points out all the people that make comments that are ridiculous and stuff like that. It's like that's kind of why I don't go
Well,
into comments and things of that nature.
I think it's a requirement to not read into much because I mean that is probably an attempt at that, but you got to understand that it's for entertainment. It's not uh, designed, I don't think, primarily for that other purpose. But there's better ways to communicate ideas than to do it through obscure comedy stuff.
Yep. So I'm not sure if this is a new exploit for Netgear or if this is related to the old one. Hey, Glum, how's it going?
Must be a little glum this Tuesday morning.
um. Anyway, I'm not sure if this is a new exploit for Netgear or if this is the same one that we had previously talked
No,
about.
this is a different one, I believe, and this one's already patched or whatever. However, it did take, 9 months. Apparently, Netgear is extremely slow in responding to these things, which is why it's so concerning when the vulnerabilities are announced. The only one strong note is that certain Netgear devices can have other firmwares and whatnot put on them, and I might urge everyone who still has the devices that rely upon them to either replace them or to probably change their firmware to a non-Netgear supplied firmware. At least something you have a little bit more control over and something that has more up-to-date packages and whatnot. Or, like we've recommended in the past, potentially consider building your own gateway device.
Yeah, internet gateway, and using those things as just access points, and then they won't be exposed to the internet, so they won't be able to create botnets out of them. That is by far my recommended method of doing it. And it does say in that article, it looks like the R4000s and 7000s had another high profile risk on them. So
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That there's a couple of them, but yeah, Netgear seems to be in the limelight these days because of that, as so many other companies have been. Security is a big deal.
So off of that, kinda, Malwarebytes had a interesting article posted about how do I get my employees to stop clicking on everything. And I think we can just replace that employees and just put in how do I get people to stop clicking on everything. Um, they go through a couple theories: a bad user, bad company, and driving a nail with a platypus. Not sure what that means, but um, I guess I really wanted to get more of everyone's opinions on how do you try to get people to stop clicking on everything, and like, do you just invoke fear, or do you try to educate, or you just say oh well and
I
fix
try to educate, but I've pretty much come to the realization that there's some people that are going to listen and there's some people that aren't.
Well, listen, I was reading a totally unrelated. I'll just share this. I was reading a totally unrelated thing about 3D printing, and you might have a link on this too. But it's basically two MIT students, and I believe they died because they were venting their 3D printer into their apartment, and there's clear signs of carbon monoxide poisoning and stuff in them. And I didn't read all the details, but the point is that these were well-educated individuals that honestly you might argue should have known better, and they engaged in something that ultimately cost them their lives. And there's typically no risk of loss of life when it comes to clicking on a message. Usually the life factor is you're pretty safe from as far as these types of things, but you can understand that if that happened to them, there's always going to be people just, again, even the best security expert goes out on a weekend, gets drinks a little too much, or otherwise having a bad day and just clicks on something. There's whole groups that are out there that tries to get relatively knowledgeable, capable people, even or uninebriated people to fall for things. I guess advanced social engineering stuff, but they're apparently at least somewhat able to do that. So uh, I guess it's a more about, maybe it's more of a thing about human nature than it is about a specific thing like technology. Maybe technology just exacerbates it or somewhat. I don't know. But you see what I'm getting at as far as there being,
yeah.
No,
you
I
can't stop
really.
everyone no matter what.
Well, I mean, people still use their hair dryers in the shower. I mean, I do because it saves so much time. Um, but it looks like in the article they end up blaming it on the company itself, and asking questions like, do you use version controlling, or are you sending files out with attachments to emails and expecting them to open and click on them so that it seems like it may be a phishing document, may not be a phishing document? Do your intercompany communications resemble phishing emails, and what's the penalty for ignoring them? And yeah, so it kind of it's like maybe it's just how businesses work. If you're having a big problem with that, maybe you should look at how you're doing things and change it, because you're not going to change the fishers. Definitely not going to change them.
Well, that brings up a good point. You know, if you can ignore a situation, this whole ransomware thing that's come about in the past several years, you can ignore it. You know, you can go on life and business as usual, but there's much higher risks today than there were previously, even for the same types of similar types of attacks. I mean, these aren't things we've talked about at the same social, the same social manipulation has been occurring, basically since the dawn of humanity. So I think, there needs to be something done, and I don't believe companies are actively talking about it. Even in places where we worked, where there are clear policies on that, you should have just assumed that you would be knowledgeable as an employee, but there wasn't any clear policy in those regards about what to do in those situations, and no training or anything else. And so in a larger organization, you might assume that there would be, but there may not, or it may be largely inadequate or outdated, or maybe even outright incorrect.
Oh, geez, Glenn, his air condition died, and his workshop is an oven at 1 a.m. and he's got computers just melting. It sounds like. That's no good. But I guess that's the Australian outback for you.
Global warming hitting you guys a little bit harder.
I thought this next one was a pretty interesting article as well. So apparently the MacBook Pro that includes the touch bar is being banned from state bar exams. Now, this one was fairly curious to me because, I mean, you're letting someone have a computer, but you're not letting them have the touch bar on their computer. That kind of doesn't make much sense to me. But apparently they use some software, I guess, that probably takes over your computer during the course of the exam, and it doesn't disable the touch bar, so the predictive text feature could be used to essentially answer questions for you. It looks like North Carolina has already not outright banned it, but if you bring one in, test proctors are on the lookout for those models and have technicians on hand to ensure the feature is disabled. And then it looks like New York and Colorado, people end up having to write their answers in by hand if they bring one of those in. And Ohio is starting to look the same way, but that's pretty crazy that the touch bar is what freaks out their stuff. I would have to imagine, though, that Apple would have some mechanism for I mean, that's how you can use it for Photoshop, right? Photoshop opens and then it changes the touch bar. Shouldn't their software just change the touch bar to be what they would expect, possibly? I don't know. I haven't used the touch bar, but that is a little warm, Glenn. That's kind of like here, though. It's actually winter right now, and we're supposed to have 70-degree weather this coming week. When was it?
Lately, we've been having about 40s the high and the low is about 25, but we're talking Fahrenheit.
Yeah, and this week it's going to be, today it's going to get up to 67, tomorrow 70,
It was
Thursday 67.
last night was a little bit below freezing here, as I recall. It was a degree or two below freezing. Um, yeah, but yeah, you have to realize though, it's right. It's a different season technically. It's
Yeah,
warm
it's summer there, but I'm
summer there.
saying that our weather is going crazy up here because it's supposed to be winter, it's supposed to be cold, and we're having 70-degree weather.
Not yesterday, but yeah, I do see what
Today, though, today and tomorrow, we're supposed to have 70-degree weather here.
Yeah, it is much warmer today. Did you guys talk about this already? The display with the router?
What?
Yeah. So there's it's sort of a Mac issue. So my apologies to everyone out there. But it's a display. So technically, you take this display and use it, for with PC. There's nothing preventing you from doing that. It's an LG display, but it's susceptible to interference apparently, and isn't shielded properly. And so, if your router is too close within a few meters of it or a couple of meters of it, it will potentially cause distortions, and even if it's close enough, cause the TV to turn the display to go out. It'll either flicker or it'll go black. And it's directly due to proximity to router. So, and
That's
LG acknowledges
display fall.
what's that?
That's a pretty big display fall.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, for the way that they are intending this to be used, it is likely that a router might be within that range. It actually would be for me in my environment. In others, it might be very easy to mitigate that by better positioning. But I don't know of any other display that has this issue, or at least that it's been reported on, of course. And now I'm sure everyone's going to be running out and taking their routers and sticking them as close as possible to their displays and seeing what happens. But um, uh, yeah, it is a little bit of a black eye for LG in that regard.
Yeah, I have quite a few displays right beside my router here, and they haven't had any issues, so I'd say that's a pretty big flaw. Um, yeah, Canada is not warm. You are correct on that. So this article came across Bleeping Computer this morning, and it's talking about an obvious issue. I mean, if you're looking to circumvent hacking by cracking and hacking software, obviously you're going to end up with malicious programs getting into the mix. But apparently there's people out there that use applications to access hacked Netflix accounts. And there's a bad one going around, surprise, surprise, that ends up locking their files and demanding ransom because of it. So,
Same situation. You go looking for a crack, and you're going to get burned eventually.
yeah, so surprise, surprise that you look for something for free that isn't supposed to be free and get burned.
Yeah, going down a dark alley in the middle of the night, bad things can happen.
Definitely not the best ideas. Um, I didn't pay too much attention to the article, but I liked the graph in this one because Johnny's been counting calories recently, and why I'm not a big fan of that or believe in it necessarily. I thought it was pretty interesting to see the calories laid out across the various fast food places. McDonald's looks like it has a ton. Subway a ton, Taco Bell a ton. I was kind of surprised. I mean, not surprised about Chick-fil-A not having a lot. They are fairly conscientious. Um, but I was surprised about KFC. Maybe KFC just doesn't have that many because they don't sell many things other than chicken. Um, Arby's was a little bit surprising to be in the low side. Wendy's, I was extremely surprised, especially given the comparison to McDonald's and Burger King. Like, they have very, very few calories comparatively.
But they're talking about everything that's on their menu.
I know,
So
this is just an
each,
overall view.
yeah, like each little square is something on their menu.
Oh, so are you saying that
So
these are just how many things they have on their menus?
yeah, so like if you read the very last one of them is like outlined and it tells you what it is. So like for Carl's Jr., the very last one is the Mile High Bacon Cheeseburger, has over 1,200 calories. As
Oh,
for
so
the
the ones on the
Western Bacon
right are the higher calories. Okay, that makes more sense now. I didn't even read the article or the graph really
well, maybe you should take your own advice when it comes to Michael and
I'm.
actually read what it
Mm,
is
there. Michael.
first.
So then McDonald's has a lot of stuff on the low end,
Correct.
and so does Taco Bell. Taco Bell has more on the
A
low.
lot. Taco Bell has like everything on their menu is under 1,000 calories.
you do realize that 1,000 calories is a huge amount of calories for uh,
Yes.
a meal, a single meal, in my
Yes,
opinion,
you don't have
considering.
to tell me.
Yeah,
I eat under 1,500 a day.
yeah, yeah. So
That's
a
why you
regular
eat one
2,000
fast
calorie
food.
diet day. I mean, I would not base a meal off of a
What,
thousand.
Brantley?
That's why you just eat one fast food meal a day, maybe
No.
two.
Well, a
And
lot of these fast food meals have so many calories in them that one meal exceeds your calorie intake for a day.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why you
so
only need one.
there's two
on this
problems.
list, it's even color coded. So like McDonald's just happens to have a lot of drinks. That's how come it looks like it's like a whole bunch of stuff. But they also have the McCafe. So most of those are probably shakes and coffees and frappes and stuff like that. As for like apparently Carl's Jr. hardly has any drinks. Do they even have shakes? I've never been there.
It's essentially Hardee's,
Oh, okay. And Taco Bell has the freezies,
brought to you by Carl's Jr.
so that's probably where their little yellow dots come in. And
Yeah,
then and then Subway has salads, so that makes sense. Who has a lot of sides? Apparently Subway.
that makes sense because they have a bunch of sides everywhere.
Yeah. And then apparently Arby's and Chick-fil-A have the most desserts.
Well, I would not have guessed that. What?
Mm.
Oh yeah, I guess. Well, Chick-fil-A has shakes and brownies and cookies.
Yeah.
Still, I don't. So, Michael, what was the problem in eating just one or two fast food meals a day?
You're asking me what the problem with eating just one or two fast food meals is? There's nothing. There's not necessarily a problem. It all depends upon what you eat. For instance, it's not even necessarily. It's about a balanced, meal. Are you getting all the vitamins and nutrients you need from that, or are you at least supplementing it with, maybe a vitamin or something else? Um,
We went to
and exercise too. There is more fat though. There is more cholesterol. There generally you would have a tendency to push those problems. If you chose to indulge. Look, I mean, I'm diabetic, so as far as the sugars and high carbs, I know that's not a good thing, but certainly the sugars, I don't engage in drinking sodas that are sweet, there. And in general, I would probably prefer something that's less carbs versus something that's more. Although sometimes my stomach overwhelms that higher thinking there. But at any rate, there's nothing inherently bad about any of these things. There's not much more inherently bad about a McDonald's hamburger versus you cooking one yourself. However, you could choose to spend more, and produce a possibly a healthier, burger with better items, garnish or better lettuce, better tomato, better cheese, better whatever you put on it, the side or the
Well,
toppings. But
that's the issue I kind of had against the Super Size Me movie was that, like, who eats 3 meals a day at McDonald's? Like, I can understand
well,
that
I do.
it's bad for you to do that, but
Poor people do. Poor the uh it's yeah.
well, they
I mean,
definitely don't supersize if they're poor people. And
well,
I don't think they're
Can't
getting
afford
up.
not to.
I don't think they're getting up and eating breakfast and lunch and dinner.
well, have you ever hung out at certain McDonald's? There are people in there that literally every single
Surprisingly,
day for
no, I have not
breakfast,
hung out at any
every single
McDonald's.
day
Yeah,
for
I'm
lunch.
just here to use the Wi-Fi. Don't mind me.
No, I
Michael, have
happen to
you
live near
hung out?
somebody. I live near somebody that uses that lives very close to a McDonald's, and
I'm
I
here for
know some
people
people that worked in
observation.
McDonald's, and I've waited for people while they've been getting food at McDonald's, and whatever. The point is, uh, if you watched, you look at the tapes, you can see some consistent faces repeatedly over and over, day in and day out for multiple meals. So, and it's actually a number of populations. Elderly, I find there's a large percentage of that, seemingly, and seemingly, I would imagine a lower economic level, but or at least again, perception and reality could be two different things here. But those seem to be the common points that I've seen, at least for the repeat visits. And it's understandable. McDonald's food is inexpensive. You can get a whole lot of food, a whole lot of calories for little money. And if you're struggling to pay bills, that goes a long way.
I still think you could prepare your meals and it'd cost less than going out to McDonald's.
I agree.
I mean, if I go to McDonald's with myself and my children, there's no way I'm spending less than $20, and I can go to the grocery store and get a lot of food for $20.
Yeah.
I could, probably eat for a whole day on $20, where at McDonald's I can eat one meal.
Yeah, well, I guess some of that goes to better judgment, but
I
obviously.
can make a pot of chili for under $20 and it lasts us a week.
That's
Oh
true.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a very inexpensive meal that lasts for a long time.
But it's so good. Mm.
When it
Well,
gets put in
then it makes you wonder if that's truly the case, and it's that, and there's no downside to that. Then why don't more people do that and not yeah, I don't know. It's the
What, Brantley?
convenience, I
because
guess.
people are lazy. I am one myself. Like, I'm not a fan of cooking things in the kitchen. I will much rather, uh, in my bachelor days, I will definitely revert to I'll eat one fast food meal and frozen food otherwise. Like, I
I've
don't
been
like
here.
cooking. So
I've been here 2.5 years and never seen Brantley cook anything.
I don't see why I should. I live in the future.
And the past,
Oh my.
apparently.
All right. Well, that was a fun topic.
All right.
Anyway, looks like Walmart, the largest distributor in the world, could not keep up with Amazon Prime style shipping. Um, they're now putting it at a $35 threshold, so you have to spend $35 to get 2 day shipping. I just thought that was kind of interesting.
I thought
I'm not gonna keep up with
that's
that.
been like that though.
I think they tried to go down or up or something.
Oh, it says provided goods worth. Yeah, they went down from $50.
But they don't have the shipping. Yeah, shipping pass is their subscription method, which is what Prime does.
Right,
So they're scrapping that. So they don't have a option where you can always get free shipping.
right. Well, that's just something they offered at like the checkout. Like, hey, if you sign up for this, you get this. Like, kind of like but you could use that shipping pass for like ordering pizza and stuff too.
Hmm. Why didn't we get one of those?
Because we don't need one of those. Why would we use it to order pizza? It's like if you ordered pizza, you didn't have to pay the delivery
Fee?
cost.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous. Um.
So get in your car and go get it.
Well, I thought.
Hey,
I
I'm
thought.
actually reading this on Walmart's website. It says that effective today, January 31st, 2017, shipping pass is no longer available. Now all Walmart.com customers can enjoy everyday low prices with the convenience of fast, free 2-day shipping on eligible orders without a membership fee. 2-day
Yeah, that.
shipping covers more items than shipping pass. Click here to learn more.
It
So
says it's 35. You have to order $35 worth of stuff from Walmart.com to
yeah.
be eligible for it, though.
Okay.
Um.
But now you don't have to pay a $50 a year fee.
Well, no,
Right.
it always had it. If you made it over $50, they always gave you free 2-day shipping. But with Shipping Pass, they gave you free 2-day shipping.
Right, but
That's
wasn't
what.
shipping pass a service you had to pay for annually like Prime?
Yeah, but
Yes.
that's what it's saying is that they couldn't handle the way Prime does it, so they're scrapping that. And I was kind of hesitant to say that Walmart was the largest distributor in the world, but looking down a few article paragraphs there, it says that Walmart makes 500 billion in sales comparative to Amazon's 110 billion. That is insane. Like you like we think Amazon's like a major retailer, like 500 billion in sales. Wow.
Yeah,
500.
Walmart's huge.
Hey, did you see that link I posted? I should clarify. It looks to be a two computers that you get as a set. um,
For $30,000.
What are you talking about?
yeah, take a look at it. It's pretty impressive. The uh, the cooling system looks wild. It's that deep red and that liquid there.
Oh, I'm not muted.
Michael, you just got a new computer.
Uh,
No, I'm not. Yeah, like I
uh,
spend that much money, but anyway, it's just it's way over the top.
Well, they
I was
call
just
it an
laughing.
8-pack, but it better come with a 6-pack so you forget how much money you spent on
It's gonna take a lot more than six for me to
it.
forget
Yeah.
that.
What were you gonna say, John? Nick, sorry.
Oh, I was just laughing with Glenn that he's testing the D72X Alpha build. And he just mentioned he's given me some notes. He just mentioned he's tested it on Windows 10, and I was like, "Oh, good, you see the version works."
That's correct. At
It's
least
like
Oh, it's two computers in one box.
the only complaint.
Is that it? No.
Many.
What's wrong, Michael? You didn't read the article before you posted it?
I just can't tell from the picture.
why would you even look at a $30,000 computer though?
I just like to see very high-end specs, and it was built by a very famous overclocker.
I'm actually working on a new build for that
That
right
brand.
now, Glenn. Of course, always am. But
Ooh, Johnny threw that one in. It's built by a very famous.
Sorry, I need to mute.
I can build you a $30,000 computer, Michael. I'll even give you a deal at 29K.
You do know that that's completely custom job there, so.
I know. I'm just gonna give you my custom computer right here. Then you'll have the 5 gigahertz speed that I have enjoyed for years. How's that going, Nick? Are there any big problems or things that need to be added to the known issues list? Or
and yes, Glenn, it is set to automatically update. So I'm working on a new build at the moment. I was hoping to release it at the start of the show, and then I ran into a problem with actually the communication between the app and our server because I'm using a wildcard SSL certificate is installed on the server, and apparently, at least in 10, that doesn't fly. The wildcard aspect of it, it doesn't the name doesn't match up when it checks the SSL certificate, so it doesn't download. And this is not like a like verifying certificate kind of download. It's just going over SSL, and it's like Windows is throwing the message. So anyway, I'm gonna struggle with that for a little bit before I get the update out. That's a known it, but that shouldn't actually. I don't know if that's a problem with the current build. I didn't have that problem with the current build, which is strange. I mean, I changed my download routine, but I'm trying to do something more. I was actually trying to go more simple, at least, and implement the because the current version doesn't download dependencies. That's right.
yeah, regression is fun, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Basically. But now I think I'll be working on the certificate thing on the server or something maybe before I get this out. But other than that, no other. Well, let's see. Glenn talks about. He said his machine blew up.
Oh, that's not a good issue.
He reported something from debug view, and it's. I don't think it's from me because it doesn't have my mark. And it also, I mentioned to him I had all the debug logging and output of any type disabled entirely, um, at least until I was at a point that I could ensure that all of that data doesn't contain any sensitive data, not just ours, but theirs. And I would be transmitting that data, largely storing it in memory and then transmitting it directly to our servers for the alpha release. And then when the final comes out, it would be like an opt-in kind of thing, you know. Yes.
Glenn Proctor is managing the stream, and I just
It's
checked.
also,
It does sound like we all are a lot softer than Proctor.
hmm.
Hmm.
Of course, also
I
the
don't know what that is.
debug logs right now they can be quite massive and quite small, and I'm trying to get a happy medium.
They can be quite massive.
I mean, over 10 meg for running the app for like just starting it and shutting it down. So they can get big, and then they could be it could be like 40K, and then it's like there's not enough data. So do we sound better now? I don't know what Proctor's doing.
I don't know why you all would sound different.
Sure.
I'm not talking, so sorry, you can't hear us very well, Glenn. Let's see.
Speaking of which, Nick, that made me check my debug logs folder on our internal tool, and apparently I have 1.24 gigs worth. I'm gonna delete those old ones now.
Sorry about that.
Considering it's running on my SSD drive.
Yeah. That runs D7X code too.
All right. Well, good news. Still working on it, coming out with some updates, and getting there closer and closer. It sounds like.
Yeah, man.
Good stuff. Well, on a completely different note, we had talked about COPA and kids under 13 and social networking and stuff. Apparently, Lego is going the mile and launching a social network specifically for kids under 13. This is so that they can share their creative talents in the Lego stuff and be able to get it out there. And it makes sense because, I mean, Lego is definitely targeted at kids under 13. And if they want to get into
Yeah.
the technology range, they're going to have to deal with that.
Is the sound better now?
I'll check.
Is it batter? I'm sorry, excuse me. That was like a Claude Van Damme sound. Batter. Is it batter? It's the sound batter.
Yeah, now we both sound like it sounds like we're all at the same level as you, Proctor. Proctor just wanted everybody to hear him.
Yeah.
Now y'all are extremely loud in my ear.
That's weird. So wait, you turn us down all day?
I don't remember changing it at all.
Proctor, you don't have a volume control on your headset?
Yes, I do. I think
You
I
can
do.
like slightly turn us down there.
Yeah, I could do that.
Nah.
And there goes the stream.
Really?
I'm just kidding. You're pushing buttons. What do you expect to happen?
That's awesome.
Glenn says it is lots better.
Cool.
So I thought this was pretty interesting as well. This former Fed employee installed Bitcoin mining software on the U.S. Central Bank's computer server. And when confronted about it, they tried to remove the software, which they had also set up access for them to be able to get to it at home. And while no data was compromised in the federal system, they did finally get them to plead guilty to it, and they're being fined $5,000 for unauthorized software on a computer server. And they say they've made some changes to how they implement security because of this. I just thought it was pretty crazy that someone was able to install Bitcoin software, install Bitcoin mining software on it, set up remote access for them to be able to access it at home, and did this for several months, if not years, I believe. I didn't get the specific time on it, but all on a bank server that we think should be fairly secure, right? I mean, seems like that would be kind of hard to miss, that kind of network traffic and data going out over the network and coming from one of their internal servers, let alone the fact that he was able to set up remote access to get to it at home. Like, so many more things could have been compromised off that. Kind of weird that they went to that nature there. Oh, speaking of which, I haven't checked what Bitcoin is recently.
They did not say in the statement.
58.
They did not say in the statement released the duration of it. But he got 12 months per
articles on it. One of say something about it.
there's some. I don't see it linked to. Okay, well, whatever. Yeah, our government computers are not necessarily as secure as we believe them to be, I suppose. But it's always a human factor, no matter how secure the system is. If somebody's going to be in front of it,
Yeah,
there's going to be
another link on it, and apparently he ran it on the server from 2012 to 2014.
2 years. Wow.
So yeah, quite a few.
And he was only fined $5,000.
Yeah.
12,
Sure, he
12
profited
months
more than that.
12 months probation.
Yeah, like barely a slap on the wrist.
Yeah. That's called white collar crime. Yeah.
Tell us. More, Mike.
But nothing was compromised during that, so I mean, it wasn't a malicious attack. It was just utilizing government resources for their own personal gain, which probably happens all the time. And yeah, Glenn, it probably was the excess of the
Theoretically, I mean, other than
electricity costs.
the Bitcoin installation and the software, but I mean, in a way, it's it's somewhat of a small extension beyond, just like using a government computer to do your own personal web surfing or possibly even, porn surfing or something like that. You got to believe, those things happen, and
Hey, Nick,
slightly more malicious, obviously, but.
Gregory is in the chat and said he watched the show from yesterday and saw the mention of D72X Alpha and wondered if he would be able to play with that.
Possibly.
I know he's working on a new build right now. Are you going to wait for that, or are you going to go ahead and give it
Let
to
me
him?
use the restrooms.
Okay. Nick, we'll be back after these short break to answer that question, Gregory. While you wait on that, there's a good deal going on Anker battery, Anker Power Core 2. We got these for Christmas. I got one for Johnny because she has a problem keeping up with power and charging, but these are 20,000 milliamps, and it is much heftier than the other one that I have that's like 20,400. But the key thing here is it has 3 ports that you can plug up to, and overall it puts out a surprising 6 amps. So all 3 of these ports you can have charging at 2 amps. So 3 devices can be charging at 2 amps off of it at one time. Mainly using it to charge Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. It lasts for quite a few times. Johnny, do you have more information on how many times you can charge your phone without recharging it? I think you've only recharged it once since you've gotten it at Christmas, right?
I have only charged it once since I've gotten it, but I use it like every night. I don't even use the plug beside my bed anymore. I just use the battery pack.
Yeah, so at $37, extremely good deal. Like I said, it is a little bit heftier than some of their other models, so keep that in mind if you're looking at carrying it around all the time or throwing it in your pocket. Probably wouldn't recommend that. Probably needs to go in a bag or some sort. But another nice feature it does have is it has 2 charging ports. So when you need to charge it, it actually charges twice as fast as your regular ones if you have that. So awesome deal there. Nick, I think I can get the link if you want me to grab that. You sent it to Filth yesterday in the chat. Is that the same link or?
I did. Well, let's see.
No, I'll let you do it.
That thing weighs 13.5 ounces.
Where, Gregory, where did you, let's see, replay the show? Okay, never mind. That answers that question. But yeah. No, the same link will work right this second, actually, but I don't know. Yeah, I'll just keep using the same link.
Do you want me to ping it to him?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Right, no, I'm right here.
All right, you do it.
Actually, do you have the, never mind.
So the stats are showing that this is capable of charging an iPhone 6s 7.7 times, an iPad Mini 4 2.6 times, and a Galaxy S6 5.2 times. There is a slightly higher model, the PowerCore 26,800. It apparently has a 26,800 milliamp hour battery capacity, and so can do quite a bit more than that, and it has the same feature set. So I'm not sure what that costs in comparison, but let's see. That's $50 if you want to do that one.
Which one?
There's a slightly more expensive one that seems to have a similar feature set, and
it also weighs a whopping.
Yeah, that weighs over a
4
pound.
ounces more.
Yeah, I did notice that. But I think for what you're getting out of the one that Brantley suggested, the 20,000 one, I don't think those times are significantly increased. Like you can't get a whole, you can get 3 full charges of an iPad Mini 4 versus 2.6. Okay, yeah. Now you can charge the iPhone 6 maybe a little less than 2 more times, and a Galaxy S6 less than 2 more times as well. So that increase for $15, I guess. I don't know.
If you want to know how much your phone, how many times your phone can charge it, just search for your phone model and battery capacity. So like for our S7 Edge, it's 3,600 milliamp hours. So
just do the math, divide.
Just divide that by there. So with the 2,600, we'd get just over 2 extra charges out of it. So Johnny could probably go a whole another month without it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, but it weighs another 4 ounces more.
Choices. But they are good. They are good deals, and I've been. I'm with Brantley on the Anker stuff. They've been ever since I've started purchasing Anker batteries and USB hubs and things like that. They've all done and performed very, very well for me. So
Anker is a great battery company.
Yeah, but I would argue even some of their other peripherals are reasonably well done as well.
Yeah, Nick has their lamp, I believe, and he enjoys it.
I love it. I have several of their lamps, the different ones I got when they were like about half price or something. I wasn't gonna buy them. I mean, come on, really.
Now,
You know,
Are they just lamps, or do they include charging ports and things as well?
they the desk lamp that the one that I'm using right now is on like a giant boom,
Mhm.
and it clamps to the desk, and it does not have charging ports. The I think the base model doesn't either. I'm not sure. The others do.
I
And they
have
have
several.
quick charge and all the other goodies and all that too. So,
Yeah, it's just weird to me seeing, like, I mean, I definitely trust them in the battery capacity because it's been tried and true, but it's
the
weird to see
lamps are
them.
phenomenal. The different options you get for lighting for the color temperature of the light is awesome, and the dimming features and everything else. I mean, it is great. I love it. I love them all. The flexibility of the booms and it's top notch gear. It is.
Mm,
And you're talking about desk lamps, right?
Yeah.
I have several.
I'm very glad for these purchases. Although gosh, I don't know if I don't know if anything could have made me pay as much as they actually cost normally. But
I have several Anker USB hubs with dedicated charging ports on them, and those have all been served me very, very well.
yeah, I've got that stuff too. I love all Anchor stuff.
Yeah, I do like their USB hub. I have that, and Johnny has one as well. It's just like I can kind of see the transition to lamps, but it's hard to see that at the same time. Like,
Dude, I don't see why not, because like, okay, before the lamp I bought, I don't have it over here, but it's just a one outlet power socket with USB charging ports you can switch on and off. So it's like an extension cord, but just like a one thing. But it's on a base thing that's made for like sitting on an end table and such. So I had a couple of those, and then and for the USB charging port, sometimes is all I need them for. And so if I had the lamp, I wouldn't need that. And people like lamps. I mean, I don't, but generally I do kind of now. But yeah, lamp shades mostly, and not having light over your head as opposed to eye level, the source. I don't like that. But yeah, yeah. What was I saying?
well, I was saying, like, it seems like a strange business lateral move. Like,
Oh, but no, but adding like reliable power charging technology, good gear
yeah, that's why I can
to
see it. Because I mean,
existing elements of furniture and things that would already be in one's home.
yeah,
Uh, to me, that makes perfect sense. And combining it with lighting is with the actual lighting itself and the design, the boom arm hardware, and everything else. I think it's a revolutionary step. Of course, I think they're just buying this from some manufacturer somewhere, maybe putting their own circuit in the ones with the charging ports. I'm not sure what they're doing, but there's a dozen lamps exactly like them under a different name on Amazon. So
yeah.
I just think the convergence of the gear is probably it's the next logical step, really.
The only thing I would say bad about Anchor, the only bad experience I've had, which ended up working out fine, although it's a little bit downsided, was Ingress did a specialized battery with Anchor, and their pre-order, how they handled the pre-order, how they actually got the manufacturing, everything to that was just so subpar and minimal that I was extremely frustrated about it. Um, like I didn't get the battery until at least 6 to 8 months delay of when they were expecting to have the battery. And there was very, very little communication about what was going on and who was handling it. So if you see a pre-order thing with a special company, you might want to be wary about it and not jump on that bandwagon. But because even the battery that I got from them is probably the least effective Anker battery that I have in general, and it was extremely surprising. But all of the name brand Anker stuff has been fairly good and steady, and I believe Rav Power uses the same manufacturing stuff that Anker uses. It's just not using the Anker brand, so it doesn't have Anker support behind it, which their support is extremely helpful if it's not based on a pre-order with another company. So you can get the Rav Power ones. I believe they're almost identical as far as the hardware and things that go into it. You just don't have Anker brand behind it and support and additional things behind it. But it does cost a little bit cheaper to get the Rav Power ones as well. So I've done a ton of battery research if it hasn't been coming across. But yeah, Glenn, not a problem. We're actually enjoying some of the conversations that are spinning off the social media posts that we're adding to. Well, we're about at the time to wrap up today's show. I did have a couple more interesting links I'll just throw out there for fun. Cassini is getting some more images of Saturn's rings. That's always fun to check out and look into. I thought this was crazy. Vespa has a cargo bot that they're coming out with. So you just have this little robot that follows you around holding all your stuff. I guess that's interesting. But considering it's coming from Vespa, it's probably going to be decent, good hardware at the least. And speaking of scooters, this was a pretty interesting YouTube to watch. I don't know if I could do this, but there's a first-person view of riding a scooter, and I don't know where they're riding it, but it seems incredibly disorganized on the street, and people just ride wherever and do whatever. So I have to believe that it's probably coming from India, because that's how they drive there. Is if there's a free space, you take it. But yeah, riding on a scooter there is insane. And Glenn, I did watch that unsubscribe video from that same James Veach that we did the spam replying, and that was pretty funny as well. And I don't think I spelled unsubscribing right. He didn't give you many hints on how to actually get around the unsubscribing, not unsubscribing you, but I do believe there's, at least in the US here, there's some regulations about they have to offer you an unsubscribe method, and that method actually has to unsubscribe you, or they can get into legal troubles for that. But replying to subscribe newsletters seems like a fun idea as well. So he's at the end of it. He's currently got an auto reply that every time they give him a case number for sending an email, he just sends them back a case number of his own for sending email. And I think he was up to like 21,000 at the end of that video. So their email servers have to, and ticket system have to be just flooded with thousands and thousands of emails that are nothing but a random case number that he made up. So thought that was pretty fun. But we are at our hour time limit, unless anybody else had anything fun or interesting they wanted to throw out there, talk about. No? Good.
No, I don't have anything.
Cool deal. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, Glenn and Gregory. Glad you're getting into the D7 2X testing, and definitely let us know if you find any things that aren't on the known issues list, because Nick is working dedicatedly away at those, and I think he said he would have a new build up here soon after he works out some certificate issues. But other than that, we will be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. for our Wednesday show. Again, we are mainly here to provide you with support and answer any questions about our products and services. If you do have any of those in the meantime, you can feel free to contact our support via the various methods on our website. Otherwise, if you'd rather talk to us all directly, you can wait until tomorrow at 2 p.m. and we'll be happy to hear from you. So thanks everyone for watching, and take us on out, Proctor.